Wind Waker is my favorite Zelda game, and probably my favorite game, period, and the music is a huge reason why. The game's biggest hit would have to be the ocean theme, which accompanies the player as they sail across the overworld, flawlessly evoking the adventure of a journey on the high seas. A lesser-known entry on the soundtrack, though, is The Great Sea is Cursed, a version of this overworld theme that enters when the Great Sea gets cursed. It's basically a creepified version of the normal sailing theme. The melody and orchestration are basically the same, the only difference being note choice. By just changing a note here and there, the music goes from open and triumphant to anxious and oppressive, and this presents an interesting opportunity for us to see exactly how the composer, Kenta Nagata, chooses notes to aim at either of these emotional goals. Now, the most iconic part of the ocean theme is the introduction of the piece. We have this beautiful cello ostinato, or repeating figure, that braces itself on a low D note before soaring up and down an open D sus2 chord arpeggio. The gentle push and pull of the bass line moving up to the second of the key and then resolving it down to the root in every bar evokes the motion of the waves, and the rhythm drives the music forward from below as string pads fill the higher space with rich, pretty chords. These chords are simple triads, nothing complicated, but the way they interact with the repeating cello figure underneath is super colorful. We start on D, of course, since that's the key, but then we move to A minor, and then to G. Then back to D, followed by an A to B flat diminished to C. Let's hear each chord against a solid D bass note. We're not afraid to step outside the key here, but the voice leading from chord to chord is carefully chosen so that out-of-key moments will resolve in a satisfying way. This A minor flows seamlessly from the A major before it, which is native to the key of D, to the G major after it. The C natural note in that A minor chord slides down to the B of this G chord, giving our arrival on that G chord more emphasis than if we'd stayed entirely inside the key. The last two chords are from outside the key as well, this B flat to C being a spin on the classic Super Mario cadence, flat 6, flat 7 to 1. We start on quite a dark chord here though, this B flat being a diminished triad rather than a major triad, diminished with a major 7th if you include the A note played triumphantly by the horn behind the string pads. A diminished major 7 chord is an intense sound, especially over a clashing D natural bass note. But that just gives the move to C and then to D an even more dramatic, brightening effect. We're certainly not avoiding colorful notes, but each note choice resolves to feel warm and encouraging. With just some slight tweaks, the cursed version of the Great Sea theme feels very different. The bass line is kept the same, but both the 5th and the 2nd of the key are flattened, giving us a much grosser sounding line. The original part evokes the broad, exciting expanse of the Great Sea. This version invites you to stay home instead. The flat 5 and flat 2 are both very crunchy notes against the root, and you could also see the inclusion of both of these notes as invoking the disturbing sound of the D Locrian scale. However, the string pads on top don't stick to any one scale. Our starting D major chord includes a flat 5th this time, then moves through D flat to C augmented to E minor chords. It continues chromatically down to E flat minor and then D minor, and then gives us this awkward B flat major 7 flat 5 to B flat minor to end. Music isn't picking a dark-sounding scale and sticking to it. Instead, we're stepping between different types of clashing sounds to evoke an unsettled energy. Even the chords that shouldn't sound that creepy, like these E minor over D or D minor chords, sound gross when pitted against the flat 5 and flat 9 in the bass part. So there's no escape from dissonance through the whole phrase, and no settling into one particular kind of dissonance either. And then the melody comes in. Originally, this brass melody hopped around D major arpeggio figures, landing on big held notes that let the listener take a breath and enjoy the salty sea air. This same melodic figure in the Curse theme trades the D major arpeggios out for only D and A flat notes. This is, as I'm sure you already know, the infamously dissonant tritone interval, which lends an air of depravity to any piece in which it's used. The first phrase resolves this tritone down to a held G note, while the second phrase resolves it up to an A natural. Using the fourth, flat fifth, and natural fifth of the key in the same melody again defies any one consistent scale or sound. Under the melody, the iconic opening cello line switches to a syncopated staccato ostinato. That's a music theory term that is really fun to say, but the short bass stabs give a nice textural contrast to the long held melody notes above. With the cursed version, the bass doesn't move from chord to chord, but rather stays on D and decorates each bar with an uncomfortable pang of tritone dissonance. The tritone interval, especially in the bass register like this, carries a sense of danger, and never moving to another chord means that we never get reprieve from its oppressive sound. The harmony in the cursed version is pretty bizarre. Both the melody and the bass line use the tritone interval between the root, D, and the flat fifth of the key, A flat, to inject the music with that specific brand of creepiness, but the inner string parts take a different approach. Fourth intervals shift chromatically between F sharp and C sharp, and F and C natural. Together with the bass and melody, these add up to make some odd chord choices. D major 7 flat 5, moving to D minor 11. These are not what you would jump to if you were trying to think of creepy chords. It's clear the harmony was almost incidental, built up as a consequence of layering different creepy sounds together, even if they don't totally make sense together. The genius of these inner voices is that they're actually a reference to Ganondorf's theme. Ganondorf's theme, used throughout the series going way back to A Link to the Past, uses fourth intervals that rise up in a very specific pattern. Up a half step, then a minor third, then a whole step, all over the same bass note. Each fourth also dips down a half step at the end of the bar, the chromatic motion adding in an unsettling atmosphere. This is such a genius motif. It's dark and threatening, but it also has this coolness to it. You really get the sense that Ganondorf is not at all worried about his schemes getting interfered with. Confident evil might be the most intimidating kind. The inner string lines in The Great Sea is Cursed just move back and forth in half steps, but still fill the music with that same sense of self-assured evil. We know that this is a deliberate reference to Ganondorf's theme because a much more direct reference comes in immediately after. Now, this is probably my favorite version of the Ganondorf theme in the whole Zelda canon because of the build-up at the end. See, originally the Ganondorf theme moves to these first inversion minor triads, following a new pattern moving down a half step and then up a minor third. This pattern repeats, moving the chords higher and higher, building the ominous atmosphere up to a climax of tension. This is great writing, obviously, but the Cursed Sea version adds a couple of extra layers. First inversion minor triads still go up the same pattern, but this time with an added bass note underneath that turns them all into half-diminished chords. Rather than F sharp minor, we get a D sharp half-diminished, a chord that carries a lot more tension. On top of all this, there's an added line that rises chromatically through the whole section, another rich, colorful element bringing the music up to a boil. The way the rhythm speeds up, moving toward that final chord, brings so much energy in too. The climax at the end feels like evil has triumphed. So there you have it. If you want to make some creepy music, rather than reaching for the most dissonant notes or chords you know, maybe go for something else. A relentlessly dark bass line that never changes. Layered harmonies that don't quite fit beside the other parts. Chromatic voice leading that views the key signature as a gentle suggestion, and when in doubt, just using Ganondorf's theme will guarantee you get the job done right. Thank you so much for watching. Check out my Patreon if you want to support the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.